Morning and welcome to the new employee orientation electronic health record for direct care. My name's Dan Miller and I'm the EHR coordinator for Region 2 out of Broome DDSO. Today we're going to talk about the electronic health record. And before we do so, we're just going to take a few minutes to look at New York State Office of People with Developmental Disabilities and how it all comes together and why we need an electronic health record. So in New York State, we have approximately 1,083 work sites, and we employ about 17,963 providers and staff, all to support 40,151 individuals. When we bring these all together, you can see the need on why an electronic health record system is vital in order to meet the needs of the individuals we serve. What are the advantages of the electronic health record system? Well, the first one is it supports the OPWDD's People's First transformation. The second is it increases electronic record keeping, backup, and storage. Before electronic health records, we had to store everything by paper and then put them in rooms with filing cabinets, and all that took up a lot of space and could be difficult to find records. The last one is it offers real-time information sharing. Remember, even though we are just implementing the EHR now, the ultimate goal is for us to be able to share information not only amongst the OPWDD community, but also with the healthcare providers out in the community so that we're giving the best care to our individuals. Dr. Virginia Scott Adams said that the EHR will be the starting point to give care providers the support they need to proactively serve individuals in a manner that further enables community integration. Taking a look here is how OPWDD is broken up across the state. As we said, there's over 1,083 workers. These are broken up in 6 regions, from the Finger Lakes and Western all the way down to Long Island. You can see the various number of employees that are in each of our different regions. Today we're going to take about a 2-hour course to introduce you to the electronic health record. We're going to go over how and review our dashboard and how to set up everything so that we can be successful. Then we're going to learn how to navigate the electronic health record. We'll go through the basic chart and learn what everything is and what buttons do what things, as well as we're going to go into and explore each of the various areas of the EHR, including the personal information, documenting health information, how to document service documentation, as well as how to put attachments and consents within the EHR. So let's begin our journey. When you first enter into the EHR, you're going to come to a relatively blank screen that says dashboard. Let's take a moment and look at this screen. Up on the very top, we have a blue ribbon. And in this blue ribbon, these are our main menu bar. We have a home, a dashboard, people, schedule, reports, utilities, as well as an area that says welcome. And typically this will say your name. In the training environment, I'm using a specific training name, Training Direct Care 011. It's from here that you're able to go to the various areas of the EHR. So the first thing we'll do when we go into the EHR is set up our dashboard. Our dashboard gives us access to see if we have to-do lists or if we have a schedule. So let's set this up first. Now to do that, it's relatively simple. You go over to the right-hand side of your screen and you'll see this little icon. It looks kind of like a calendar with a cog in it, and you're simply going to click on it. This will open up this screen here, and you'll see all these different boxes. Go ahead and click on the boxes. And then we're going to click on the red X one more time. Now, at first you think nothing happened. All you have to do is go up to your main ribbon and click on Dashboard. And all these little widgets now appear. So the widgets can be moved around so you can set up them in the order that you like to view them. So let's take My Clients, where I just simply left click on the word client, and we're going to drag it over to the left. Now, if you have something that you don't want to have out on your dashboard, you can remove it. So we would just simply go up to our little icon. Let's say we're going to remove prescription notifications. Click X, and it's gone away. Now, as you can see, I already have some tasks up here. And if I wanted to see specifically what those tasks were, I have this little icon here of the magnifying glass with a plus sign. And I'm just going to click on that and expand the widget out so I can see more clearly what my tasks are. Now, luckily, I've already completed all my tasks, but we're going to be adding some more as we go through the training today. I do want to take a moment to show you that here and throughout the EHR, areas that are typically blue are hyperlinks. It is here that if you click on these, it will open up to either another form, or in this case, it would open up to a specific individual. We'll go through that here again in just a moment when we start selecting individuals. But for now, after I look at this screen here and I want to close my widget down, all I have to do is go up to this icon, which is the magnifying glass with the minus sign, and click on it again. And it returns me back to my dashboard. This can be a vitally important area into which you can manage the individuals under your care. The second thing that we have to do when we first come into the EHR is also set up what's called our face sheet. Now there's two views into which you can work in the EHR. They're called the person's chart view and the face sheet view. We're going to explore both of those in just a second, but first we have to set up the face sheet view. So we're going to come up to this area here where it says Welcome Training Direct Care 11, and we're going to highlight so it kind of goes whitish, and we're going to click on it with our left mouse button, and then we're going to just simply come down from our menu, drop-down menu, to Face Sheet Settings. And just like we did with the dashboard, we're going to click all these buttons. And then we'll say Close. This brought me right into the chart. If it doesn't bring you right into the chart, that's fine. We're also going to show you how to go into the People's module here in just a second. I'm actually, for right now, going to close this out. The last thing that we want to set up when we first come into the EHR is our electronic signature, also known as the ePIN. So again, we're going to go up to our Welcome, click on this, and this time we're going to select User Profile. Now, the first time you go into your user profile in the production environment, you'll probably have some legalese that you have to say okay to. Just go ahead and say okay to everything, and it will bring you to this page, which calls for the review of your user profile. The EHR coordinators will set up these for you when you first have your account put in. However, this area is all editable by you. So if you get married, for instance, and you change your name, you can come in here and change that. If you go to a different work site, you can put in your work site location. If you come halfway down the page, you're going to see an area that says ePIN Setup. Now, the electronic PIN or the electronic signature is a 4-digit number. We oftentimes recommend you use a number that you can remember, such as the last four of your Social Security number, your birthday, your anniversary. In the training environment, ours is 1234, and that's the default that we'll put in when we set up your account. But you need to change that. To change it, all you do is you come over the white box here where ePIN is, hold your left mouse button down, and drag across the left so that it becomes blue. I'm going to use 1, 2, 3, 4 again because it's the training environment, but you at this point would select the PIN that you want to use that's unique for yourself. I'll simply type that in. I'll go down to the ePIN confirmation and retype in the same number. I'll then go back to the top of the page and I'll go to the area that says OK. Now this is the important stuff. Once you click OK and it brings you back to the home page, you need to wait 5 minutes so that the ePIN can sync with the system. If you don't wait that 5 minutes, you quickly try to go in and say, place a note into an individual's file, it'll give you an error. Unfortunately, we can't save the note. You would have to redo it after you redo your ePIN and wait 5 minutes. So really important to take that 5 minutes and let the system do its job, and then go ahead and you do your job. Right now, we've completed setting up our electronic health record. So we had our dashboard with our widgets. We set up our face sheet, which we're going to look at in just a moment. And we also set up our electronic signature. It's important that you keep track of your electronic signature because you're going to be using that for all the forms that we're about to look at. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to go into the People's module, and we need to talk about how do we bring up an individual. So we go to our main menu bar or blue ribbon up here, and where I select People. And let's look at this screen. This is relatively a simple screen, but there's a couple things to be aware of. The default way into which we search for an individual within the electronic health record is by last name, comma, first name. Now, if you go over here where it says name, that's the default. You see this little down caret. You can click on that, and it shows all different ways that you could search for an individual. Now, within OPWDD, the most common ways we typically look is the first name, comma, last name, or we use our TABS identification number. Now, I'll show you where the TABS ID number can be quickly found as we get into looking at the face sheet settings. But for now, we're going to select the most common way, which is first name, last name. Now, you could put in just the last name, or you can put in last name, comma, first name. Now, for the training environment, I'm using the same as who I am, Direct Care 011. So I'm just going to type in 011. This is going to bring me up by People's search area, and anyone that's associated with number 11 has just come up. Let's take a look at the screen just for a second here. Again, we see a bunch of information in black, and notice I can't click or do anything here. And then I see over here these blue hyperlinks that turn orange as I go over them. This is how I'll select and be able to go into a particular person's file. Before I do so, I want you to take notice in the middle of the screen at the bottom of this little area down here where you see the numbers 1, 2, 3. Now this can be anything from just 1 all the way out to 10 with a bunch of dots after it, meaning there's lots of names. So again, I select number 11. If I start searching through here, you'll see all these different individuals with number 11 on them. So this is another way of looking. If I can't find my person on the first screen, they might be on a subsequent page. If I return to page 1, luckily for us, the individual I'm looking for, individual DC011, is right here. So we'll just hover over that, turn it orange, and click on it. And this brings us in to the individual's chart. Let's take a moment to look at the various features within the chart and become used to some of the names that I'll be using. The very top part of this chart here, and I'm going around with my pointer, gives us the demographic information for the individual. This information here cannot be changed by you or by any of the EHR administrators. It is brought over by TABS. TABS is the system that New York State Office of People with Developmental Disability uses to track the movement and billing information for a given individual. This doesn't change. What we do is 3 times a day, the information comes over from tabs and updates into the EHR. So you're not able to change this. If there's ever an issue where you see an error here, you should contact the EHR administrator and we can guide you on how to get a hold of your local tabs coordinator to make those changes. That's the first thing you want to become aware of. The second thing we want to do is we want to look up here just underneath where we put our people's information in so that we could search for them is 2 other things that says that person's chart view and face sheet view. Right now we are in the person's chart view. That's the default view within the EHR. If we go ahead over here to face sheet view and highlight it and click on it, it's going to bring us into the face sheet. Now the face sheet's nice in a lot of ways. Again, we have our information. Again, this is all brought over by tabs. We don't have anything to do with changing this. But here's the first and most important thing I just highlighted here is your tabs identification number. In the event that you need to contact the EHR administrator to tell us something's happened, you need some help, we need to know not only the individual's name, but their tabs ID. So if we ask for a tabs identification, you just go into the face sheet. Very top thing is going to be the tabs identification number. Now, if you remember, we clicked on a bunch of buttons when we were setting things up, and they're right here. These are widgets too, but these widgets don't move around. What this does is open up, and these are called grid views that you're seeing right here. You see I already have some information in my individual. And this, some people like this view a lot. You can quickly look at their medications, their most recent notes, their contact information, adaptive dining, and so forth. Some people really like this view, and again, it's a quick way of seeing the most relevant information. And we'll go through how to add and to edit right off the face sheet as we get going through some of the forms. To go back to our person's chart view, we just simply have to slide over, and then we go to the top, and once again, we see the face sheet person chart view, click on person's chart view, and we returned to the main screen. Now, when we see this blue line here, let's go below here, and this is your actual individual's chart. And when by default, it opens up to personal information. Let's just click on that down caret and it closes it. This list here that you see of the personal information, enrollment management, health information, plan management, intermediate care facilities, support service management, meaningful use, clinical service management, financial management, and finally attachment and consents. These are called accordions. Why are they called accordions? Well, it's simple. They open and they close just like an accordion. These should be thought of like file cabinet drawers. Each one of these has specific information relating to the individual under our care. So we're just going to open up the personal information again, and I want you to draw your attention right over here to the circle and to the circle with the arrow up to the right. These are how you're going to access any one of these given parts of the chart. The plus sign is for adding, and this will allow you to directly add to a new form. This is the view button, which would open up to a grid view to see what's already in the file. Now you can also add directly after you go into the view part, as we'll see in a second. So in both ways, new information can be added if you have the appropriate authorities to add them. When you're in the EHR, depending on what role you are, today we're looking at the direct care role, you may not necessarily have the ability to add something. We'll look at that a little later when we look at BSPs down below here in the plan management section, that you do not have the ability to add them, but you can view them. So now we've looked at kind of our basic setup in the EHR and have familiarized ourselves with the face sheet view, how that looks, as well as some of the buttons here within the accordions. So let's start our exploration of the accordions and the different forms within the EHR. This is going to be a sampling of how you go about putting things in. We'll cover the majority of forms that you'll need for the direct care, but more importantly, we're going to show you the uniqueness of different forms and where you'd go to put information in. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our personal information accordion, which is open. Now, one of the nice things in the production environment is everything's in alphabetical order. So today we just have to search down. We're going to go to contacts, circle, and support. And what we're going to do is we're going to click the plus or add button. And this opens up the form. Now let's take a moment to familiarize ourselves with things that are unique within the form. The first thing you want to notice is that some of these fields have an asterisk. Wherever there's an asterisk, it's a mandated field. If you do not put information in here, it will give you an error and will not let you save the form. So it's important to always familiarize yourself with the form when you come in to make sure that you're putting the appropriate information within the given form. The other thing I want you to notice is that down in many of the forms we have comment sections. And in the comment section, you'll notice in the bottom right corner, you'll see this box and it has the two little lines here. And this is a dragging area. So not everybody likes to see this in a small format and they would like to see it a little bigger. Well, all you have to do is go over it. You'll see how my cursor changed to the arrow line. And then I hold my left mouse button down and I can drag it and make it whichever side I want. So you'll see that in different forms. So that's a nice little feature to help you be able to better view and write within the EHR. So now that we've kind of familiarized ourselves with mandated fields and everything, let's go ahead and put in a new contact. So in this case, we're going to select a professional contact. And then we're going to say what the relationship is. And today, I'm going to pick healthcare integrator. Now, notice here you have an effective from date and effective to. The effective from date is when you first start a relationship with the given individual. So over here we have a calendar. You could enter 2-digit month / 2-digit date / 4-digit year, or you can come over to our little calendar here. And notice the calendar is quite nice. You can just find the date, or you can go down to where it says today's date. That's what I'm going to do. Click on it and it fills in the date. So that's it. I'm not going to use the effective to because that would be when we end our relationship with the individual. And here, the next thing is the agency or organization name. Now, in the training environment, there's only one choice. However, in production, there'll be many choices. And again, if all of a sudden you find that your agency or organization is not listed, you'll need to reach out to the EHR administrator in your region so that they can correct that situation for you. They will select Agency X. And then we're going to come down here. Now, there's two things to see here. We could do right here, which is a typewriter with a sunburst on it, and that would open up a form to add a brand new contact, someone that's not yet in the EHR. If we're not sure if they're in the EHR or not, we can go here to select, and we see all these names. Now, we're going to use my name today as part of this. So I'm going to see who's under Dan. And as you see here, there's a bunch of names in here, but I don't see my name in here. It gives all the ones that are currently in here. So Dan, Healthcare Integrator, is not in the system. So I can go up, and there's my little icon again, the typewriter with sunburst. Let's click on that. A new contact sheet has now come up, and again, we see we have some mandated fields, and we have some that are optional. So I'm just going to put in we have integrator, Daniel. Then we're going to come over here to the preferred contact method. That's a required field. I'm going to say anyways to get a hold of me. I have to put a phone number in. And that, what type of phone was it? And I'll say it's my cell phone. Now, I filled out all the mandatory fields. The other fields, if I know them, it's great. We can add them in. But if I don't, I've now met the minimum requirement. And I'm going to come down here to say OK. And now you can see Integrator has been added. So I now look and I see was all my fields. Look, that auto-populated over here. Everything that's mandated is filled out. So I'm going to say OK. This secures the page. There's nothing I can do to change it right now. And I'm going to say close. So once again, we come to our grid view. And in the grid view, we can see some basic information. And if we needed to edit this, we're going to come back in, and again, we see our blue hyperlinks all the way over to the left. We click on that, and we can go to edit. Now, why we edit it? Well, in this case, we realized that our individual is also our emergency contact. So if I need to put them in as emergency contact, I click on edit, and I come down and I click on the emergency contact part. And then I say OK. And then I can simply look up here. This has been completed. Let's talk about how do we move backwards in the EHR. So most of the time in web-based softwares, we go ahead and we click on this back arrow. We don't want to do that in the EHR. This can actually kick you out of the system. So what we want to do is we want to use this area right here. This is called a breadcrumb trail. And why is it called a breadcrumb trail? It tells us the person's file, it tells us we're in the chart, and it tells us which form we're in. I want to simply move back to the person's chart. All I have to do is go up here and click on person's chart. I could also click on people, but if I want the best control and see what I'm doing, I click on person's chart, and it brings me right back out. Now, if I wanted to see this in the face sheet view, the same thing can happen. I can click on face sheet view, go over, and I can see the information on the circle of support. If I wanted to add a new person, I could simply click on add. And if I wanted to edit it, because it's already in grid view, I could come over to the left where my pointer changes to a little finger, and I could go in and edit that. So that's how you could do it in the face sheet view. We're again going to slide over, click on person's chart view, and return to our person's chart. So that is how we add contact, and circle and support. Now we would add a new form within that. Now let's move down to our health information accordion. All you have to do is click on health information accordion. That expands and notice your personal information when closed. So here, the first form we're going to use here is going to be vital signs. Let's go all the way to the very bottom. We see vital signs. Here we have our two choices, and we're going to go ahead and add. So some unique things within the vital sign form. First, the date auto-populates in this form, which is very nice. The next thing we have to become aware of is time. So when we enter time in the EHR, it is in a 2-digit hour, colon, 2-digit minute, space bar, AM or PM. So we'll put our time in. I'm just going to use 8 o'clock this morning. Administered by, and of course you would come in the real environment, the production environment, you'll have your name. You'll be able to search for your name. The training environment, I'm just going to pick Training Medical 86. And then you'll enter your vital signs. So we'll say it was at rest in our left arm. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go over, and for just a second, I want to talk about height, weight, and BMI. So vital signs certainly take in part height, weight, and BMI. This is perfect for when you're taking this as a vital sign, but if you're taking weight and height for the monthly or weekly height and weight charts, then you should put it under the weight chart, which we're going to cover in just a minute. If you're using it for a vital sign, it definitely belongs here. Let's go down and say, okay. Oops, this is right. I made an error because I did not sign the record. We can go no further. So we're going to use our EPIN. Remember, the EPIN in the training environment is 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll set yours to be whatever number you need to remember. So I do this. Close it, and it's going to take me to the grid view, and I realize, oh my God, I just put the diastolic where the systolic was. So what do? Do I contact the EHR administrator and have them delete this from the file? Well, no, you have placed this in the correct person's file, and the EHR administrators never remove information that was put into a correct individual's file. There's a simple fix here. All you'll do is you go back and do a new vital sign. You'll put the exact same time in. And then you'll re-enter the information. I forgot what the numbers were, so I had to go back and look. And then administered by, and I said I was 86. And then I say, okay. Oh, I to sign it again. See, this is the great thing with the EHR. If you don't have a mandated field filled out, it doesn't let you get any further. So now I can see I put it, clearly I put the blood pressure and I reversed it and I corrected the error at the same time. So if we were looking at this, they can see that, oops, I made an error and I corrected it and made it correct. So we don't need to take this out of the record. We just correct it. It's at the same time. It's assumed there was an error. So that's how you fill out the vital sign form. And it also teaches you how sometimes you're lucky you don't have to fill out a deletion request template and send it to us. So we could also do this, if we go back to our person's chart view off our breadcrumb trail, we could also do this off of our face sheet view. And again, it'd be the same thing, it'd be in face sheet. And all you would do is if you wanted to add a new vital sign, is click on the plus sign here. Same way as the person's chart view, and it would pop up. The only difference is when you're viewing it, it always goes back to the grid view first. So here we can see, oh, I made an error and there it was corrected. You can see that there. We're going to go back to the person's chart view. So the next form we're going to do is we're going to scroll up and we're going to find the weight chart. That's right here. In this case, again, we're going to go to a plus sign to add. Now, depending on what the requirements are in your house or by the individual, you'll do height and weight accordingly. Let's do it today. When in doubt on any of this, you should be looking at the overall patient's file or speak to your nurse on duty. When I say it's our monthly weight chart, we'll do height and weight. So height in inches, we'll say is 69 inches. Say 155. If there's any comments you need to put in, you'll put them in. Type of scale, did we weigh the individual if they have any braces on or did they not have braces on? You'll select that. And then you'll go down and you'll want to add your depend. 1, 2, 3, 4 in this case. And then we're going to say, okay. Once it's done, we're going to say close. And now we can see the monthly weight charts. And again, here I had put the height and weight in backwards. All I did is go in and I corrected that quickly so that it reversed itself. Again, it was placed in the right chart. I made an error. I went in at the same time, fixed it, so there's no need to remove this from the record. Let's go back up and click on our breadcrumb trail on person's chart. The next thing that we're going to do is bowel elimination. So if we come down our health information to bowel elimination right here, when I click on an add. Again, we have to select our date. I could either select today here, or I could pick today down at the very bottom. And we're going to put our time, whatever time they had the bowel movement. Now you see there's different choices here. Perhaps an individual is independent and they just went to the bathroom and said they had a bowel movement and you don't know anything about it. There's also a choice if they don't have a bowel movement, you can put that down. So if on your shift you're supposed to be monitoring for that and they don't have a bowel movement, you can just put no bowel movement. In this case, we're going to say medium. It was soft, brown. If there was any other information that you needed to put in regarding the bowel movement, say that there was a little red blood in it, you would put that in here. Was it per shift or not? So depending on what the orders from the nurse are, you may have a per shift requirement or you may not. So if it's not known, you leave it NA. I'm going to say no, it was not per shift. And then I'm going to sign this. And then I'm going to say close. And here's our bowel elimination record, and you can see the different things that have been happening over time. So if in the later day they had another bowel movement, you would click new. and you would add yet another one to the record. Let's go back, once again, clicking on our breadcrumb trail on the person's chart. So far, things have been pretty straightforward. We've been sticking basically on the same form, or we've selected an icon to tell us to add a new form that we saw in Contact Circle and Support. Now we're going to look at daily fluid intake and output. This has a little different look to it and important just to get used to. So we're going to go ahead and click on our add. And think first, this is like a folder. We're creating the folder for all the daily fluid intake and output for the day. So first we're going to set up the folder. So we're going to select today. And then I'm going to have you look right up here. And when I do OK, I want you to look right up here. And I'm going to say OK. And you see a new tab now popped up. So think of this as now I have the paper in the chart. If I want to record their fluid intake or output, I click on the daily fluid intake output details. And of course, right now it's blank because they haven't done anything for the day. So I'm going to click on the new button, and the screen pops up. Now you only have to put in numbers. You do not have to put milliliters or ounces. That's all determined for you. But you do have to put in the time. So let's say at 7 in the morning he got up, went to the bathroom, urinated, say 75 milliliters. We say, and we sign it, and we say close. In there, we have a piece of paper with our input and output on it, right? So now we go about our business. We go back to our person's chart, and good old training has decided, hey, I'm going to have breakfast now. So we come back down to our daily fluid intake because he had stuff to drink. This time we don't have to add a new one. We already created that folder for the day. So now we just want to go back into that folder and add some more information. So we're going to do view. And we're going to see the date. And we're going to select the date. That brings us into the folder, and we see we want to put a new bit of information. You see the first one was when he got up, and now we want to add what he had for breakfast. So now we're going to put our breakfast information in. And he drank 75 milliliters. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I can see he did 75 oral intake at 8. At 7 a.m. he outputted. Here, when I just go back to the overall folder, I can see all the other folders, and I can see the information to put in. Right? There's 75, there's 75. Back up to the person's chart. And around 11 o'clock, he has something to drink, and he goes to the bathroom. So once again, I'm in the same day, so I don't need to create a new chart for that day. I'm going to go view the chart. I'm going to go ahead and click on the date. And I'm going to, so far we see our totals here, right? 75 taken in, 75 was output. And I'm going to add one more. This time we're going to say like 11 o'clock this morning. And let's say drink a lot. And he went to the bath. Okay, we say close. See the record for today's date. close, and see it's calculated everything for us. So when we closed out and went back just to the overall chart for the day, it's calculated our totals. So this is a really nice way of looking how much did they take in, how much did they go out. This is our daily fluid intake. You see, so you do that all day long whenever they go to the bathroom or take something in if it's required. Remember, you make the chart once on adding. After you do that, everything's on view. So always look when you're doing forms. If you think nothing's happened, go and look to see if a tab popped up right next to the original tab. A lot of times people get confused and they're like, something's gone wrong. Really, nothing's gone wrong. The system's working fine. You just aren't comfortable yet looking where on the screen might the next bit of information come up. So you'll see this as we go through other forms. I'll point this out. But always just kind of look at your screen and see if there's something uniquely happening. Let's go back to our person's chart. And for the next section, we're going to actually leave our health information accordingly. I'm going to close that. I'm going to go down to plan management. Now, plan management is an important area within the EHR. What we're going to first look at is the Plan of Nursing Services. These are also known as PONS. PONS are really great in the sense that they are now being put into the EHR, and they allow you to read and sign within the EHR. So in a direct care role, will you be able to add a PON? No, if I go over this and click, I can't add. That's because the nurses are the ones who add plans of nursing services. But I can view it. So I'm going to go over the view button and I'm going to click on it. And I see in here we have a PONS for CDIC. So I want to be able to read and sign on the CDIC. So I go over to my left, I see blue, so that's a hyperlink, and I click on it. And this opens up the Plan of Nursing Services. I can read the Plan of Nursing Services, everything's good. And then I have some tabs up here. So in some of the plans of nursing services, there might be additional fact sheets for you to review. And in this case, we just put see additional CDIC facts here. But you could click on this, and there may be a whole page of information. But as you see, there was additional stuff here. So you only want to look at your Plan of Nursing Services, but you want to take a moment and click on Plan of Nursing fact sheet. See if there's greater detail to educate you on whatever condition is being put into the Plan of Nursing Services. Once you've reviewed those two tabs, you want to be able to sign off on them. So you go up here to Direct Care Signature. You can see everybody who's reviewed this PONS. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to say new because I want to sign it for today, or for saying that I've read this. And I'm going to now just simply sign it with my ePIN. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to say close. And there I can say that I've read this so that when they go in and they look at this, they can see all electronically everybody in the house to see who or who has not read the Plan of Nursing Services. So each PONS that are in the system, you would do that for each PONS. Let's go back to our person's chart now. This is also the area where you'll find your behavioral support plans if they're in the system. All behavioral support plans have at least been uploaded to the system and are being added to the special behavioral support plan utility as they come due. So by the end of this year, we'll have all the behavioral support plans for everybody within the EHR, which is quite exciting. And to view that, you would simply click on the view, and if there was one there, you would be able to then click on it and read it. Luckily for us, training Direct Care 11 does not need a behavioral support. So we're going to go back to our page here. And now we're going to go down here to support of service management. Notice I'm going to click on that. Notice it automatically closes the other accordion and opens up the new one. Now, the next form is a very unique form. This is why we're showing you right now. Is the Habilitation Service Daily Note. Now, for some of you, you'll go to DayHab with your individuals and help out there, and some of you don't. So, but what's most importantly is this form is very unique. So let's go ahead and add a new one. And again, when we add one for a Habilitation Service Daily Note, there's only one per day. So we're going to select today's date. You pick the program that you're in. Again, mine only has DayHab 1. There would be many listed for your programs, and you just select it. And then location, you'd find your location that you're at. So this is filled out. And then we're going to put in the start and end time. So however long we were at DayHab and we were working on things is what we're going to put in. I see 09 a.m. And this is all filled out. Now I want everyone to watch very closely here. I'm going to say okay. And it doesn't seem like anything happened. Let's look around. And nothing popped up. That's okay. With this form, you have to say okay twice. And then you say okay twice. Look at the bottom of your page. A whole new area opened up with your valued outcome. So your HAB specs will be putting these into the system. And notice there is no blue like we normally see for a hyperlink. That's okay. We just simply go down and notice it turns orange, just like a hyperlink turns orange. When I click on the orange, notice another area opened up just below it. Let's just scroll down. These are our staff action plans. And these are what we're going to be working on when we're in the DayHab setting. So if I need to report, did somebody do something or not, this is where I'm going to go. And I'm going to come down here, and just like before, there's no blue, but that does turn orange. So I'm going to click on that. And nothing really happened, except when I look up here, an edit button came available right here. So I'm going to click on the edit button, and we can already see the screen has changed. Was the service provided? Yes. What was the response to the staff action? It was successful. Now, in the real production, there's a couple other things that could be successful with some prompting. You'll see some other choices, but it doesn't change. You'd select the correct choice. And then you come back over here to the left, and you're going to say save. Then you're going to look, did we do anything else? Oh, yep, we did this part. Staff will assist individual in answering the phone. So we're going to highlight it. It turns orange. The edit button up top here, click on that. See how our screen is changing. I'm going to say yes. And we're going to say successful again. And then we're going to say save. Great. So all our staff actions are done. We're all done for the day. We have everything. Now we're going to go up and we're going to say submit. Now, we only do submit when everything's done for the day here, because there's one chart for the day. So we say submit, and then we're going to sign it with our ePIN. And we're going to say okay. And we'll say close. Right? And then we're going to say close again. This brings us back to our grid view. Notice that the chart for 331 has been submitted and done. You cannot create a new chart for 331 now. You'll have to wait to the next day. So This is important. This is a little unique form. You saw instead of going up and looking for a tab at the top, you're actually seeing stuff opening to the bottom. This is a unique form. And let's go back. Now let's use our breadcrumb trail again and go back to the person's chart. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go back up to the person's information or personal information accordion. We open that. This time we're going to go to the ready to go form. We're going to do an add. Now remember, a lot of times ready to go forms are completed by nurses. However, sometimes you might have to be called upon to fill one out. And again, notice there's required fields or mandated fields. There's some areas down here that aren't mandated, but you may have information to put in there. So let's go back up to the top here and let's fill out this form. So I'm going to pick today's date. And again, these areas here are auto-populated by tabs already. So in our training one, we didn't have a Medicaid or Medicare number. But in the real environment, a lot of times you'll see these are all filled out for you. Okay. Now we get down to a required or a mandated field. Was pre-sedation given? You want to read each one of these, determine was everything okay? Were they capable? Were they not capable? Or was it not applicable? Right? I say capable to both of these. Then down here we have the stuff on the DNR and advanced directives and living wills. Is there one? Yes or no? I say yes. Then I may slowly scroll down, and you'll see like the adaptive dining equipment currently in use, that auto-populated. The diagnosis has been put in. We have the medical history. Was there anything else that we had to put on an individual's ability to take oral medications? If there was something specific to that, we would type it in. We have our baseline vital signs. And then on here, we have to put neurological, mental status, and behavioral or PICA. I'm going to put PICA in here. I say wheelchair dependent. Due to ataxia. Now remember when we were doing the circle of support for our contacts, and we put emergency contact in. Here's where this comes important. So I entered Daniel Integrator with an I instead of an E, and I go in and there he is, right? He's an emergency contact, so I select him. What happened? I put him in, and I didn't put him in as an emergency contact, but he is. Right? That's when we have to go back and edit that screen and select it differently, right? So otherwise they won't show up as an emergency contact, but they did here, so we picked them. Then was there any other information? And then we're going to sign it. And we're going to say okay. And then we'll say close. Now, let's go back into this form here, off the grid view. And notice these other tabs are now here, right? Allergies, didn't have any, but medications automatically populated. If there's any specific diet orders, they would be there, and their immunization record, if they were entered in, would also be here. These are entered usually typically by the nurses or the dietitians, and they're located in a different part of the EHR, but they all auto-populate into this form so that you can have a complete ready-to-go form to take with you. These typically are printed out ahead of time and are made ready so in case you have to grab and go. So that is how you do a ready to go form. We'll say close. And again, on the grid view, you can also see where these tabs are here, and you can see this for the whole thing. Ready to go forms are updated regularly, and the most recent one is the most recent date, would be considered the one that you should be in use. Let's now go back to our person's chart view. So the next thing we're going to look at in our journey through the EHR system is going to be probably the most common thing that we do is notes. So to find notes, we're going to go under the personal information accordion. And we're going to select notes. Now notes can be added off the person's chart or the face sheet. We're going to look at both, but we're going to first start right here in the person's chart. And we're going to do an add. And let's talk about some of the important things in the note. This field here, date, is always today's date. Whether if you're writing a late note, let's say you put something in the wrong chart and you had to rewrite the note, you don't put today's date or the date back when you wrote the original note. You're always going to put today's date. No matter what it is, it's today's date. It doesn't change. Today's date is always the date. The subject line, make sure you're speaking to your supervisors in your homes or at the day hab. Make sure you get the proper way into which they describe their notes. In this case, we're going to do day shift underscore direct care. Now the note type, because we're training as direct care professionals, we are always going to select direct care. If you're an LPN and you're doing nursing notes, you would be an exception. You'd be doing a nursing note. Otherwise, as a direct care professional, our choice is always direct care. We are never going to pick general. It is always direct care. The event date, again, here's where if we are writing a late note, maybe adding hospital notes from the other day when we were at the hospital the whole time, we might have a different date on the event. What date are we writing about? Now today we're just writing about today, so I'm picking that again. Now down here, there's start time, end time, duration. We want you to enter the start time into which you're writing the note currently. Right? This is a common medical thing within the electronic healthcare community that we write down what time did we start the note. So I'm going to do 09:06 a.m. It is not your shift time. It's whatever time you're actually documenting. You do not have to put end time or duration. This area is also used by clinicians to put in non-billable services. So there we keep track of how long they might have gone out and repaired a wheelchair, and then that calculates the time. You don't have to do that. You just put the time in that you start writing the note. You don't have to put the staff in, because the only person who should be writing a note within this file is the person whose the staff name is down here, which should be you. So if Jill can't remember her password in the EHR, she needs to contact the EHR support desk so we can help her get on the system. She doesn't come up here and put the staff writing the note as Jill, and then training direct care signs it. That's called Medicare, Medicaid fraud, and it can cause you a lot of grief that you don't need to do. Instead, just contact us. We'll be more than happy to help you get back onto the system and successfully do your job. So with the notes, remember, notes should be about 3 sentences long minimum. Obviously, if there's more to be said, you should write that. So I'm going to put in just a sample note. Whenever possible, we should be using our promote terminology. All right, so we wrote our snippet that we needed to do, telling about what he did while we were taking care of him. Training got up and picked up out his clothes. He got dressed independently. Praise was given. He ate his breakfast and relaxed until it was time for program. And we're simply going to sign the note. We'll say close. And there we can see the note we did in the grid view. Let's go back up to the person's chart view. This time, let's go to face sheet view. In the face sheet view, again, there's our notes. We can go over and we're going to add a note. This time I'm going to make an error. So I'm going to pick my date, always today's date. Day shift. So I put the note type in wrong. And I say, okay. I come down here and I sign the note. Now notice I sign the note, close it, and then I'm looking at my grid view here and I go, oh boy. I put note type general. Oh yeah, EHR coordinator told me don't ever use that. Well, you don't have to contact the EHR support desk. We're not going to remove this note. We're going to have you write an addendum note. Let's write an addendum note. Let's click on our add data. And then let's do an addendum note. So it's very similar to writing a regular note, except you're going to put addendum. Otherwise, direct care was the same, right? Addendum, day shift, direct care. We're going to select the correct type. Correct. What time were we actually writing the note? 2-digit hour, 2-digit minutes. And then I'm simply going to write the note type, general. The correct note type should be direct care, right? We've corrected the error. We've now drawing attention that, hey, on 331, the day shift direct care note, It was originally put in as general. It should have been direct care. There's your addendum. You've taken care of the issue. What happened? You forgot to add something to the record. Let's say that training went to a hockey game that night. So we had an omission. We forgot to put that in there. Down here, using the same note, we're just going to make another example. We would do addendum. And then we're just simply say, that accidentally omitted training to a hockey game this afternoon. Right? So we just said we forgot to put in there, but it was important. We wanted to make sure that was noted that he forgot to, that it should have been part of the original note. So there's two different examples of how to do an addendum note. And we'd come down and we'd sign this. Remember, you should do one addendum per incident. You shouldn't have hopefully you're not having 5 parts of the note that all need to be addendum. So then you could see that in our grid view. Right there was the addendum note. We can see that these tie out together and it resolves it. So therefore, you don't have to contact the EHR administrator. You're just able to correct the problem on your own. So let's go over to the person's chart view again. Let's go down to notes. Let's talk about a late note. So late notes happen. Sometimes they happen for really good reasons. Like you went to a hospital with somebody and you weren't able to get back in time to write the note, so you're going to put it in a different time. Or one of the big things that happens is while you were working, you accidentally put a note into the wrong person's chart. So instead of going into Direct Care 11's chart, you went into Direct Care 12's chart. And a few days later, your supervisor came and said, hey, where's the note for Direct Care 11? You go and look, and you see who you were in charge of writing notes, and you go into Direct Care 12, and there it is. You wrote the note in the wrong chart. So we're going to have to correct that, and hopefully we'll talk a little bit about that at the end of the program. But what you do have to do is rewrite the note into the person's chart right away. And you have to rewrite it exactly as it was originally written. So, but we wanted to make sure that we note it as a late note. So what we're going to do is it still would start out as today's the date. Then we're going to just simply put late note, day shift, underscore, care, note type is direct care, always direct care. Now the event date's going to change. It's a late note, so it's not today's note, it's a late note. So we're going to put it back, let's say it was the 28th. The time which we're writing the note is still the same time. 2-digit. Then very much like the addendum note, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say late note. The original note. Spelling's off this one. We're in the wrong person's chart. And then we're going to rewrite the note exactly as it was originally So you want to rewrite the note exactly as it was rewritten. You don't want to summarize it. You don't want to write something brand new, because when we triage this, we make sure that they are the same, because when it goes over to the HIM department to actually remove the note from the file, if they're different, they can't remove it, because really we're creating a fraudulent situation again. So it's important when you accidentally write in a wrong chart, that's okay. Don't get too worried. We have to do a little paperwork. We have to let it know that it's a late note, not because you didn't do your job, but it just got put in the wrong file. But we have to rewrite it exactly, because we need to capture what you were doing at the time you wrote the note. So rewrite it exactly, and then when it goes over to the HIM, people will see everything matches up, and they'll be able to quickly remove the note from the file, and we all just move forward. Remember, we only remove information from the charts if they're put into the wrong person's file. Otherwise, we're using addendums, or like we did in the vital signs, we quickly re-put the stuff in if we reverse numbers and correct it that way. We don't just remove everything if there's an error, only if it's in the wrong chart. So once you've rewritten it completely, you go ahead down here, you sign it. You say OK. And the last thing I'm going to show you on notes is how do you attach a document to a note. This is important because sometimes, like I said, you go to the hospital, you have your notes, and you come back, and we need to attach what you did while you were at the hospital to a note so that we have that recorded appropriately. So let's do that. Let's do a new note. Again, the date is always today. This time, it's going to be hospital notes _ direct care. And in this case, let's do it as a late note. It's a late note because it's not going to be on the same date, right? You didn't do anything wrong. It's just when we put it in, it's a late note. When's the event date? When were you at the hospital, right? So you were at the hospital on the 29th, and then you had the day off, so you didn't come in to do it, but you had your notes. The note type, it's still going to be direct care. It doesn't change. What time are you putting the note into the EHR? That's what matters. And then we're just going to say, right? So we're drawing attention, what is this going to be? So there I just said what these are. And now we're going to come down here for attachments. Now, if you've attached it already to the attachment consent accordions, you could definitely go to select and look for it. But if you haven't, now you've scanned it into your document, right? So we have to do a couple things. Everybody scans into the document, and then it comes into our email, and then we download it to our file. Now, this is important when we're adding any files, right? Is that we have to actually change the name from the scan. So if we open up my file, we see, oh, I got a scan from my Xerox multifunctional printer. If I left it that name, every time I add a document to the thing, it's only going to put the most recent document. Everything's going to be changed. So I'll give you a story of why you want to make sure you name things properly and here rename things. Is I had a poor individual who did put many consult forms into the EHR. You know, she was very diligent to do her job and discovered she never changed the name of the document ever. She must have put in like 60 different consults, and they were all showed whatever the most recent name was. So that was the only file in the EHR, right? So when you scan a document in, you want to attach it either to the attachments or to a note, you need to make sure it has a unique name. We have naming conventions. Now, you want to make sure that you're talking to your supervisors and making sure that you're using the appropriate naming convention for your DDSO. So I scanned from the Xerox multifunctional printer and I downloaded it. I can't put it in this name. So I want to simply rename it. I right click and go to a rename. And I'm going to use the naming convention we use at Vroom. And I'm going to call this hospital underscore notes underscore the individual's last name, direct care 11 underscore the date. And now it's been properly, and it's a unique name, right? So if I had to do this for each day, I could put then, I could change this to 3:30, and then the information is going to be unique. So now let's go back to our note that we have here, and I want to add this. So here again, I want to add this form. So there's that typewriter with the sunburst. And this opens up a new document. So there, I can call it whatever I want, hospital notes. When was it? Again, we know it was from the 29th. Information, we look to see what choices there might be. You might have hospitalization. These were my handwritten notes. Incoming information. Now I choose the file. Right? So I know it was under my document sections. And there's my hospital notes direct care. And I say open, and it just attached it to this note. Right? I don't need to fill out anything else. I can say okay. There it is. It's been attached, and I can simply sign the note. That's how you attach a note properly, or attach a document properly to a note. Now let's go off of that whole concept of attachments, and we're going to go over here. We're going to go back to our person's chart. And this time we're going to go down to attachments and consents, the very last accordion, and we see documents. Let's view what's in our document. Notice that those hospital notes we just did, they're attached here. Whether you attach them to a note or you attach it here, they're going to all be stored under the document section. Now you can see why it's important that you get a proper naming convention, because there could be lots of information in here. All the consults that the individual goes on to the various medical doctors, the nurses have to scan and put in here. So there can be a great deal, many documents in here, and we want to be able to search quickly for a given document if it's not been attached to a note, right? So that's why naming conventions are really, really important. And I encourage each one of you to make sure you're speaking to your local supervisors to make sure you have the proper naming convention. If you're not sure or they're not sure, you can reach out to your local EHR administrator who can give you guidance on that topic as well. Again, if we wanted to add a document directly to the attachment consents, we could go to New Document, and look, it's the exact same form that we filled out when we were attaching the note, right? Except we're just putting it right here. This wouldn't be attached to a note. So again, we would just simply fill this out as we did before, selecting the file with the unique name and attach it. Since we already did one, I'm not going to do it again, but we're just going to see that it would be in here. Let's go back to our person's chart. All right, so we've now gone and we've looked at attachments and consents. We've looked at how to write a note. The next thing we want to do is, what do we do when we want to be able to tell someone to do something? Perhaps we've moved up and we've come a DA1 and we want to make sure that people are doing something. Or maybe you need to tell somebody a given form needs to be filled out. So let's look at how to do a to-do list. To do a to-do list, we're going to go to our personal information accordion. You're then going to go down to where it says to-do list. And we're going to click on the add. This is going to pop up. So in your comment section, again, if you wanted to expand it, if you had to write a lot, you could expand this. Bring it back down, depending on how you need to successfully enter your information. And let's put a treatment note is now due. Right? So we're going to tell someone they need to do a treatment note. So let's do our task name. And there's the treatment note. To be completed by, we want it completed by tomorrow. And assigned by. So assigned by would be you. So in this case, I'm going to pick my individual, or who I'm training as today. It would be my name and real life. And assigned to would be who you want this sent to. But for the training purposes, I'm going to use the same name so that you can see this. You would put it down like, so if I was sending it to you, I would have my name down and then I would assign it to your name. I want to be able to see this on my page, so on my dashboard. I want to know that this is due in 1 hour before it's due. Notice it's not been started yet because I'm asking for it. I'm going to say OK. When I'm done here, I'm just going to say cancel. And I see that on my grid view, I have a treatment note due. It's not been started, due on 4/1. Now let's go up to our dashboards. We see under my task, oh, there's something for 4/1. Let's expand this and look at it. Oh, I have a treatment note due on 4/1, and it's not been started. Well, let's go do that. So I'm just on my dashboard. I just signed in. I haven't gone into anyone's file. I can click right on individual DC11. It's going to take me to their file. It opens up their chart. I'm going to come down. I'm going to do my treatment note. Right? So I'd go to notes, do my treatment note. And then I want to say that I've completed this task. So I'm going to go to do, but I'm not going to add one. I'm going to view one. And there it is. It hasn't been started. Over there's the blue. So I'm going to go to the hyperlink. And I want to edit it. And then I'm going to go not started to change it to completed. I'm going to select what day did I complete my job. And then in the real or production environment, you have to sign this form. And then we'd say, okay, it's changed to completed. If I go back up to my dashboard and I come down, I open it up, I go back up, there it is, it's now been completed. So that's a neat way of when you have to communicate with each other, you can send these little to-do lists, and then you can keep track of it right off of your dashboard. Let's go back to our People's module. That's going to reopen us back up into our Direct Care 11. Let's go to Face Sheet. So as you see, we have lots of forms out on our person's chart view, but we only have certain select forms that are showing up on our face sheet view. What if I want another form there that I would like to be able to use on a regular basis because I like this view better? So we could add links, quick links to our form. We have to arrow over, and you'll see that a quick links is going. So quick links allows you to have a quick shortcut to a form that you use readily, so you don't have to keep switching between views. You can set these up. So let's do this. Let's go to an add link. This time, let's add a ready-to-go form. So up here, this box here, this is a quick finder box. So you just go up there, click in it, and you're going to type ready. You don't have to type the whole thing. You just type ready. And we see, was there anything there? Did I do something wrong? Oh, I did, because you know what? I didn't tell new bookmark. Let's first do new bookmark. Right? Because the other one was saying these are the forms that are here. I haven't selected that form yet, so I made an error. So let's go to a new bookmark and then say form. Now I have all these forms. Let's go to the quick finder and now type in ready. And there you go. There's the ready to go form. And I click on it. It fills all the stuff in. You don't have to do anything else, and you can just say okay. And then what you do is you have to click this little X. Let's arrow over to see our quick links. And there's our ready to go form. So if I were to click on that, the ready to go form would open. Now say I decide that I don't want to see that ready to go form anymore. It's not something I really use. And I want to clean up my quick links a little bit. No problem, let's remove it. To remove it, we once again do add links. This time we come over a ready to go form. Notice this orange box opened up with this down caret. Now you could just click on the ready to go form, or you could click on this down caret, and right from here you could click delete. I'm going to click, say I just came over and clicked ready to go. It also gives you a choice. Can you delete it? And I'm going to go ahead and delete it. I'm going to say okay because I don't want this anymore. Click on it, and I go back over to my quick links. And boom, it's gone. So let's go back up here now and go to our person's chart view. So we've now covered a great deal of information covering from how to do different types of notes, how to enter different forms, and more importantly, how to start seeing different tabs appear in the EHR and become familiar with the different views. Now I'm going to take a little bit of time to cover a couple additional forms that are readily used in the EHR and see how those different tabs pop up, and so we can become a little more better acquainted with the EHR system and how information flows. So if we go back under our health information accordion, the first one, and it's a pretty common form we're going to all be using, is a body check. Let's go to our body check and click on Add. So again, just like with the daily fluid intake, we're going to create a chart. And then within the chart, we're going to put the record. So training, fell and got hurt. So we're going to, it was today. And we're going to say we don't know how he got hurt. So injury, bruise of unknown cause. We're going to say okay. Now, before I say okay, I want everyone to look up here again, right next to the word body check, and I'm going to say okay. And there, that new tab opened up. Right? So I've created the chart. Now I need to create the files within the chart. I click on body part, and I need to add a new body part. What's great with this form, it gives some great instructions on how to go ahead and complete the form. You should read that if you've not done so in the other orientations. You should read it the first time and every time you do a body check in the EHR. Now, as we get into the EHR, once again, here we can expand if we feel like we need to write more and see it. So let's look at the injury of the body part front or back. Now, in the production environment, where you'll be doing the accident, there's actually three choices. There's a front, back, and no injury noted. But we're going to deal with just the front and back for today. So we're going to say it's on the front. Now, if you've seen a paper body chart, and many houses still have paper body charts around, we have to select a body part that's been injured. Now, down here on the bottom, we have the show body part image. We click on it, our little blue guy has just appeared in the bottom. And what's great with the little blue guy is there's numbers all over him. And so let's use, in this case, number 44, right, on his right upper thigh. So remember 44, and we're going to come up on the front, and we're going to do select. Now you see there's all these different ID numbers, and then there's this descriptions with numbers. We're going to go up to our quick ID number, or quick reference, and we're going to type in 44. We're going to hit enter. Now everything that has a 44 on the ID is going to show up, but we're looking for this description number 44, front right upper thigh. Let's click on that. That's now been selected, and we can now describe the injury. And then once we've described the injury, we'll say OK, and close. Now, what do you do if there's more than one injury on the individual? Well, it's not a problem. It's still the body check we're doing right now. We would just simply add a new body part. So this time, let's say the back. We're going to come down here. We're going to look on the back to where they got hurt. And we're going to notice another dime size one on number 10. So we'll come up to select. We're going to type in 10. There's the right, rear right upper shoulder. We'll just put dime size black and blue mark on the right side of the rear right upper shoulder. And we'll say OK. And we'll say close. So now here's our body check in its entirety right here. We see that there was two things, right? So now we've completed it. We could go back here to our body check, right? There was our initial thing. There was an injury. Here's our detail. So then we can go to person's chart. If we wanted to view the overall record now in the body check, we would come back down and view our body check. And there we go. There's all our different body checks that they had. We can go in there and just like we did before, see the details. The next form that we're going to look at is the head injury observation form. In the head injury observation form, we're going to go ahead and click New. Now this oftentimes may be done in conjunction with your nursing staff, and in some cases your nursing staff may even fill out this front part of the page, but you'll communicate that with your nurses at the time that this needs to be filled out. Let's do the data injury being today. Let's do the time was 9 o'clock in the morning. Number is 09. And then let's, what happened? So, training, rocking the chair. On the table. Pick the nurse. In the real environment, you'll select the nurse you're communicating with, the date notified, the time notified, and then whatever instructions the nurse is going to give to you would be placed in here, right? Every 2 hours, 24. Then you're going to say, okay. Now notice up here, the observation tab has become available. So depending on what she's telling you, she may want you to do the observation right now as your baseline observation and then every 2 hours afterwards. Let's say we're going to do that. So we're not going to close out. We're just going to say observation and do a new observation. And then we're going to put in our date, our time, observed by, you would put your name. What's the blood pressure, pulse, respiration? If they told you to take vital signs, you would put the vital signs in the vital sign form in the EHR. We're going to say, yes, we did that. Then on here, if vital signs are outside normal parameters, or if breathing was irregular or labored, was RN immediately notified? Well, nothing was wrong. He was breathing okay. And so we're going to say no. And then we're going to just put non-applicable, because it wasn't like we didn't notify the nurse. It didn't apply. Then you have all these areas here into which you're going to make an observation. Okay? If there's anything out of the normal that you would contact your nurse, or you would, according to whatever instructions he or she's given you, you would then maybe activate the emergency response system. Luckily for us, training is doing okay, and we're just going to say no for all these choices. Then we're saying okay. Then we're going to say close, and that created our first observation. Remember, the chart's been created. So if now we're off on our day and now it's 11:45 and we want to add the next observation, we would simply come down to head injury observation, and we're going to view it. We would select today's, right? And even though it's 24 hours, so it's going to go in tomorrow, it wouldn't matter. It's still, this is the head observation we're going to put everything under. We would do observation, and then we would do a new observation just at the next 2-hour mark. So by the end, we should be seeing 12 observations in a 24-hour period. So that is how you do a head observation. The next one that we're going to do, which is kind of a unique form into itself and how we fill it out within the EHR, is going to be the Menses chart. We're going to click on plus for Menses chart. So again, this is going to be an overall record. So first we're going to create the chart for the Menses. You would put any information that you needed to put regarding the starting of the menstrual cycle, and then you're just simply going to sign it. And you're saying, okay. Notice a new tab is opened up, the Menses record, right? So we have the chart. Now we're going to have the forms within the chart. So let's go ahead. For each day, even the first day of the menstrual cycle, there should be a Menses record. So the first day, we're going to say, okay, we'll go ahead and do our date. We'll do our time that we are recording this at. Let me say this. Moderate. and she did not indicate any discomfort at this time. We'll say okay. Now, there's our first record. So time passes on, and we come back the next day. We go back to Menzies chart. We click add. Then we're going to go in, and we're going to pick tomorrow's date. We're now playing fictitious time. Oops, I did that wrong. I apologize. You don't want that. All I wanted to do was go into this chart and go to Menzies record. I apologize. It's about to start another chart. Now I'm going to do a new Menzies record, and I'm going to say the first. The time, it was 8:30 today. Moderate. Okay, she's meaning of moderate cramping. All right, we put the information in. We'd say okay. We'd say close. And we would see, there we go. We have two different charts. Right? So time moves ahead again for us, and we've come to the end of the Menzies cycle. So again, we're going to go to the Menzies chart. You see this, okay? This has all the records in it, right? This 331 has all the records, but does not have an end date. Now we're going to create another new Menzies chart. This time we're going to put the start date in. It was this. And let's say she had a short menstrual cycle and ended on the 4th. We put any final notes that we needed to put in regarding the menstrual cycle. Notice we're not doing any records now. We're just putting in the end date and any final notes or thoughts here. We're going to sign that. Then we're going to say okay. Close. Now you'll see there's two records here for each cycle. There's the first record with no end date. This contains all your Menzies records. Then there's a second one that has a start and an end date, and this is when the cycle ends. So these two together make up the Menzies chart for a given menstrual cycle. So this is a unique way into which we do the Menzies charts within the EHR. So just pay attention to that, that there's actually two charts. One's the first one when it starts with all the information in it, all the records, and one's the final one that just says this is when the end date comes in and any final comment. So that's your Menzies chart. Go back out to the person's chart. And the next record we should take a look at is the seizure record. Again, let's add a seizure record. You would put the date in. And here you'll have been in contact with your RN, and he or she will have given you, made comments or given you some information that you should be putting in here. This might include the addition of monitoring vital signs, head observation. You know, they might want to monitor closely the daily fluid intake and output. So whatever the instructions by the nurses, you'll be putting in here. Again, I want everyone to watch up here. And I'm going to go over and say, okay, there our observations just came in. Let's go to our observations. And we're going to go to our new observation. And here, to the best of your ability, if it was witnessed, what was the time? How long did it last? Where was it? And again, I'm just going to pick a location here. I'm going to say 665 Hurdle Avenue. Did the seizure occur away from the residence? No, it occurred at the residence. Did the individual report an aura? So an aura is a visual disturbance prior to the start of the seizure. So if they're able to communicate, they might tell you they saw flickering, they saw strobing, something going on. They might have saw colors, or they might not be able to communicate that or even remember that. So it just depends if they're able to tell you that or not. I'm going to say no. And did you see the seizure? Let's say yes. Briefly list any behaviors triggering it. So if you saw it, let's just say flickering lights just before seizure. So that shows us that there was something that triggered it. Now the most important thing is the observation. So let's say they had a silent seizure, and so what was their mental status, right? They were unresponsive. How was their muscle tone? You know, when I say normal, was there anything going on with their body? Were they jerking? Were they picking at their clothes? Anything like that, twitching? It was silent. They completely sat completely still. They did get a little pale. They were staring. The mouth was normal. They actually were nonverbal. They didn't say anything, so we'll just say normal because they didn't speak. Breathing was normal, and they were fine. Intervention provided by staff. They say you just observed it. They just sat there. There was nothing. There was no safety concern, so we'll say none. Additional comments if you had any. How was their behavior afterwards? They were confused. Their comments, confused for about 15 minutes. Seizure. And then return to normal. Was there any injuries? If there was an injury, then we'd have to complete a body check, maybe completing head observation, right? Vital signs. Again, we'll be talking to the nurse. So I'm going to say no in this case. For the nursing comments, you know, we're just going to monitor for the next 6 hours, make sure everything's staying good. There's no other problems. Say that's the case. And we'll say okay. And then close. Now we've made our observation, right? So that's how you do a seizure observation. Remember, out of the seizure observation, you may be using many other forms. You may have that body check. You're going to be using your vital sign forms. You might be using head injury observation. So one form may trigger the need to be using other forms. Don't forget that. That's very important. But it's all within the EHR, so you don't have to go look for pieces of paper. It's all right here. All right. Then let's look at the blood sugar data. This is a very straightforward form. So there will be no tabs popping up here. And here we're going to see the date. What time did we do the glucometer? Again, very easy to forget doing that 2-digit hour, 2-digit minute. Here's the reading. If there was any comments that you had to put in, maybe they already ate, you know, so it wasn't fasting. Let's do that. It wasn't fasting. So we'd expect a slight increase in glucose levels. We'll say okay, and then close. And then you can see, the nice thing is then you can see all the ranges right here, right within the EHR. Go back to our person's chart. And that completes pretty much all the information you're going to need regarding the forms from the EHR from a direct care role. Right? So we learned how to enter in contact circle of support. We learned how to go ahead and put in notes on how to use these various forms and to where to look on the form to see where tabs open up, so that we're moving from, in some cases, creating a folder and then putting in the record within the folder, such as with daily fluid intake and output, with head injury observation. This way, we become more comfortable with the idea of how the movement of information happens within the EHR. Remember, on almost all the forms in the EHR, we have to sign them with our EPIN. You have to use that 1, 2, 3, 4 in the training environment. In your environment, you're going to use your specific EPIN, right? You want to keep that secret. You don't want to have other people writing notes for you, right? That can lead to a problem. We learned how to set up to-do lists so that we could send information back and forth to people to make sure that the proper care of the individual is being accomplished and documented. We learned how to attach information into not only a note, or into the attachment accordion directly. We learned how to go between person's chart and face sheet so that we can, whichever way we're most comfortable seeing the information. So now the question is, what do we do when there's something that we don't know and we want to ask a question? Well, we have a help desk. And our help desk is manned by a group of very dedicated people who work from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., 365 days a year. And in each region, there's at least 2 EHR coordinators, but we all work together to make sure the state of New York is properly covered. So depending on what region you're in, we recommend that you contact your local region EHR support email if you have any questions. Here they are, all 6 of them. If you make a mistake and you're from region 4 and you send it to region 5, it's not a problem. We still pick it up and we'll triage it and we will get you some kind of answer or resolution. If we can't solve the problem, we contact the vendor and have them help us solve the problem. But we do provide continuous coverage, like we said, 365 days a year, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. So that's the first thing that you want to be aware of. And you want to take this down and take a moment to write down which region you're in so that you're contacting us. You can, a lot of times people will call us directly at our offices, and that's fine, but a lot of times we're out doing training or meeting with people, trying to help them one-on-one or in a group like today with NEO training, and we're not at our desk. But if you send it to the EHR support desk, there's going to be a group of people that their job that day is we're watching the help desk. So even though you're in region 1, I might pick up the ticket and help you. If you're down, if you're in region 2, region 6 might help you. So really the fastest way, our response time is between usually 5 and 15 minutes. So we are getting back to you very quickly to try to help you meet your needs to be able to best serve the individuals that you're taking care of. So with the last few minutes that we have, I do want to talk to you about what do you do if you write a note in the wrong file and what you need to fill out. So remember, what the first thing you have to do is you have to rewrite the note into the correct person's file, exactly the way it was written. If it was from a different day, you have to do it as a late note. If it's the same day, you can just rewrite it into the chart. But you have to write it the same way. And then you have to fill out a deletion request template. And this is what they look like. And you can get this right from us. You can send it to us, send a request for us. We'll send this back to you. A lot of times supervisors already have this at the house, so they'll have it available. And it's in a Word format, so you can directly type into it. And typing is kind of nice because it's easier for us to read and quickly assess the situation. You want to fill out the information. So who chart did you originally write into? So the person who was wrong, the wrong person's chart, you'd write their name in here. And then remember, you'd go to that face sheet view and you'd get their tabs ID number. You put it in here. On the next area down, it's going to ask you which form was it. Well, a lot of times it's the note. You put note in there. But say you put the wrong vital sign in the wrong person's file, then you would put vital sign. That tells us where to go look. Down below here, you're going to tell us specifically what it was. Please tell us the date, and if it's day shift or evening shift, it just makes it a lot faster for us to verify it's going in. Always please tell us the date. Why do you need this deleted? Most of the time it's simple. You put it in the wrong person's chart, right? Then come down here. This second part is just as important. If you only give us the top part here, we're going to send it back to you. We can't do anything. So please come down to the second part, and you want to put in whose file did it belong to. It really belonged in this person's file. Go to that face sheet, get their tabs ID number, and then tell us, did you rewrite the note? A lot of people make the mistake and say, I'll rewrite the note once you remove it from the file. We're not going to remove it from the file till you write the note. So we have to see it correct in the correct person's file before we're going to delete that document. So once you have that corrected, you can just simply say, yes, it's in there. And then you're going to submit it back to the appropriate EHR support help desk. And again, if you make a mistake and send it to the wrong region stocks, not a problem. We're going to get it, and we're going to process it, and we're going to help you out. So once you send that to us, then we go ahead and we triage it. We go look at the notes, make sure it's all right, and then we send it to the HIM department. And there's specific people who are responsible for verifying that data the final time and removing it. So, and we keep a copy of the original note that was in the wrong file. So that way we have proof that you really did write the note the first time, and it's not some fraudulent act. So all of this is very important. It may seem a little time consuming, but really we're just following the rules, and we want to make it so that the best documentation could be put into the EHR. Remember, if it's in the correct file, but you just made an error or an omission, we can either do an addendum to a note, or if we reversed our numbers on the vital signs, we just re-put the vital sign for the same time at with the correct value. So those are some of the key things to look at in the EHR. I would encourage you to watch the video a few times so that you can be able to better understand how to move in and out of the EHR. If you have questions and you want to do a little more reading, you can go to your home page for New York State, and as you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see an area for quick links for the EHR. Click on that and it'll open up. And if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see these things called quick reference guides. Now, quick reference guides are broken up into a couple different areas depending on what your role is. So there's a direct care and there's one for everyone. So I would definitely recommend you look at both the direct support as well as the everyone folder. So let's go to the everyone just for a second. And you'll see that we have a bunch of things called QRGs. They're quick reference guides. And they are showing us the different things that you can learn by just printing out this paper. So here's one for logging on in your ePen. A lot of times people, we will be sending you this when we set up your account, but people oftentimes say you fell and broke your ankle and you were out of work for a few weeks and then you came back. People forget their ePen. It's okay. You can reset your ePen, and if you go to this quick reference guide, we'll just open one up, in this case the ePen one. It tells you not only how to get onto the EHR, right, but it also tells you how to set up your ePen. And they're giving you nice pictures throughout here. You go in and you can re-put in your ePen, and you're all set. If you notice at the bottom of this document, there is a help desk number, and you're welcome to call that number. And then it asks you which region you're part of, and they'll transfer you to one of the EHR administrators from that region. You can certainly use that to call us. Again, really the best way to get a hold of us is through the email. Why? Because we continuously keep track of those emails. They never get deleted, so we always have a record of our conversation. And as well as, like, when I'm out here training you right now, I'm not answering my phone. I'm here talking to you today. So, but I have like 9 other of my colleagues who are out there taking care of people and are ready to help you right now if you send us an email. So email really is the best way to get a hold of us. So with that in mind, we've really gone through and met our objectives of today's course. I'm just going to go back up. Slide, maybe. And give a final synopsis. So we learned how to, when we go into the EHR, we learned how to set up our dashboard. We learned how to set up our face sheet and assign our ePen. We learned how to move around in both the person's chart view and the face sheet view, understanding the hyperlinks, that we click on the blue hyperlinks in order to access a given area. We learned the different ways into which we can search our people to actually search for our individuals, whether it's by first name, last name, or tabs ID. We learned how to go into various forms and look at the different icons in there. Is it an add or is it a view? Is it a mandated field where there's a little asterisk? Is there, if we need to add something, is there that little typewriter icon with a sunburst that can be used to add a new contact, add a new attachment? We learned how to look at the screen and say, is there tabs being popped up that are going to open it up? So, and then we learned the concept that in some cases we're creating a chart and then we're putting the record in there. So we create the chart first, that little tab pops up, and that allows us then to populate that chart with the records. We saw that with daily fluid intake. We saw that with head entry observation. We saw that with Menzies chart, right? Those are great things. Then we learned that in some forms, they're very straightforward, like our blood sugar, our bowel elimination, our weight charts. There was no tabs. It was just a direct form, and then it went back to that grid view, and we could see where things were going. We learned how to put notes into the system, both by the person's chart view as well as the face sheet view. We saw how to put a note in, making sure that we're always using today's date as the date. We made sure that we understand that the note type is always direct care. We learned that as we're going into it, if we make a simple mistake, like with note type, or we forget something, an error or omission in the note, that we're using an addendum. We don't have to seek to get it removed if it's in the correct person's chart. We learned that it's important that if we're talking about a date in the past, that we change the event date and put late note so that it can be seen why was it late? Was it because it was put in the wrong person's chart? We learned how to attach a note to attach a file to a note, so that if we have an important thing that belongs and documented with it, it can be attached to it. We also learned down in the attachment and consent accordion how just to attach file there also, or to be able to go and look where all those files go and be able to see why naming conventions are so important so that they give a unique direction and we could quickly look for our information within the system. We learned how to do to-do lists so that we can send information back and forth to make sure that we're maximizing our ability to meet the needs of the individuals. We learned what to do in case we put a no in the wrong thing. We learned about how to do a deletion template, right? So, and we learned where to reach out for help. So if we need to get a hold of the EHR administrators, and it's fine, ask us the questions. We're here to help you. If you don't know how to do something, we'll take whatever time is necessary to make sure that you are successful in the end. If we can't get the answer, we'll go out to the vendor and we'll get their help. We'll do whatever we need to do to make you successful. So feel free to reach out to us. Don't be afraid and put it off, because eventually we're still going to have to fix it. Don't be afraid to go into the EHR. We can, watch this video, team up with an individual who's comfortable with the EHR, and just practice putting the stuff in. The more that you do it, the more you look and see those tabs open up, the more comfortable you'll get. And in the end, you'll find that really the electronic health record does save time, does save effort, and you get a much clearer picture of what's happening with your individuals. With that, I wish you all the very best in electronic healthcare entry. And if you have any questions, reach out to your local EHR administrator through the email.
Hello, and welcome to the new employee orientation for the electronic health record. Today we are going to be talking about two topics. The first one will be ePrescribe, and the second one is the MAR, for the Medicine Administration Record. So to begin with, we are going to talk about ePrescribe. And in order to understand ePrescribe, I'll just look quickly at how information flows through the electronic health. So far, we've learned how to place information within CX360, and that is commonly referred to as the electronic health record. Really, there's two systems that make up the EHR. The first one being CX360. This just displays all the demographic information that for diagnosis of rates. We can use this to document clinical information into the charts. We can use this to schedule appointments as well as to record medicine administration. The second system that we use is called Recopia. And this integrates with the EHR. And this is where we manage the active medications. We can see prior medication history. We can see the pharmacy. We can have the Article 16 doctors and nurse practitioners and PAs can write prescriptions. And we can record medications and food allergies there. Once this information is put into Recopia, it is then sent back over to the EHR, and that's where we can then do our medication administration. So that's kind of the flow of how data works within the system, and that it's actually a two-system product that we actually do use. So now let's just go switch over to our training environment, and we're actually going to learn how to place medications into it, how to put allergies into the system, and then learn how to run a MAR. So we're going to go up here, go right into here. And in my training environment, I've already logged in. This time I'm tapping. And so what we have to first do is we have to pick an individual that we're going to enter the medication for. So if you remember up here, we have our menu bar. And this is where we can go to our various, we're going to go to the people. And this time I'm going to type in IND, and I'm going to pick there's my training individual. Remember, when we get into our person's chart, this top part is all demographic. Change that. And down below is where we have our chart. When it opens up to the first accordion, the personal information accordion, we'll just click that, and we're going to go down to the health information accordion. So just go ahead and click that with your left mouse button. And then remember, in the actual production environment where you'll be working, everything's in alphabetical order. For ours, we're just going to come down here and we're going to find medication list. And then you have your two choices, add or view. If we were to view this, we would just see what their current medications are. We couldn't add anything to it, so we're going to go to add. And when we do this, this is when we're going to switch over from being in CX360 and we're going to go into Recopia. So we're going to click on the plus button. And success, we're in the system. Now let's take a look at what we're looking at here first before we start doing anything. So over here again we have some basic information. We have the individual's name, their date of birth, their sex. We can see what their address is. Okay? We can also find out if they're pregnant or breastfeeding. So the other thing that's important is this area up here. Has the patient given consent for us to manage their medication? This has to be set, and by default it is set to yes. But if it was set to no, we wouldn't be able to add anything. So you do want to quickly check, make sure this is yes. If your individual has been going back and forth, say, to the hospital and then back to your IRA, you want to make sure that this address is up to date and is matching that which is over at CX360. If it's not, you need to contact the EHR administrator and let us know so that we can re-push the system to get this fixed. But this address here should match the same address back on our front page when we were in our People's module, and they should be the same. So let's move down just a little bit here. Or I'm sorry, let's move right here in the middle. Here we have a pharmacy, right? This is where we're going to, in a moment, select our pharmacy. Let's check out the rest of the page. We have a couple other areas. These are like when we're thinking of our face sheet view, right? We have our medications, we have our allergies, we have any diagnoses or problems, and we have any prescription management. And today we're only going to worry about allergies as well as medications. So the first thing we have to do is, because if you're going to prescribe medications, they have to go somewhere so they can actually get the medication. So we have to pick a pharmacy. Now many times this is set up by the nurse before you even get into you prescribe. However, you might have to do, so what we would do is we would search for a pharmacy. And we can pick a pharmacy's name. I'm going to pick one. And I'm going to say New York for New York City. Make sure I say New York, otherwise it's New York, Maryland, and that might give us a little bit. I'm going to say search. Now first you say nothing happened. Well, remember, always look at your whole screen. Down here, retail pharmacies, 1 to 10, or 29. Let's just move down a little, and we can see all kinds of pharmacies. You would search for the pharmacy that is associated with your individual. If you're having to put this in, you probably have a pretty good idea from talking with your nurse on which pharmacy they're using. I'm going to pick this Rite Aid 188 from 9th Avenue. And notice it now fills in. This is where the prescriptions are going to go to. So we've now picked our pharmacy. If we got that wrong and needed to change it, we could click on the remove from patient pharmacy. We'll do that at the end, right? If we wanted to see the details of the pharmacy, we could click on here and we can see it. We can see where it's located as well as the phone number for it and the fax number. So we've now set up our pharmacy. So now let's just move down to allergies. If we need to enter an allergy, we're going to place it here. And this could be either a food allergy, an allergy to a medication. So we're going to do both of those. So down here, we see a little plus sign, add an allergen. And we're going to go ahead and click on that. And now you see this has opened up and expanded into an allergies window. And we're going to say they're allergic to penicillin. Right? And it starts to fill out, and I can see other penicillins. So I'm going to click on that. Now notice what it did. Don't jump to just start filling out down here. Look and see. Matching allergies group. Let me clear this just for a second. Right? Cancel this whole thing out, and we're going to do that one more time because I want you to see this. Click on the plus add allergens. Notice you didn't see any, notice on the screen right here. This is all that's there. Now let's type in penicillin. And that, and notice this opened up. Matching allergen group, penicillin. This is in the system. The information, if we select this, this will populate throughout our system and be checking its all medications and letting us know if there's an allergy. If I skip this and I just start writing information in here, it'll show as an allergy, but it won't cross-reference. So now if I later on put amoxicillin in, it won't give me an alert saying, hey, be careful. This individual has an allergy to this. So select your matching allergen group if you have it. So we're going to do that. Notice that goes away, and now I can put my add a reaction. So I'm going to type into my box here, I'm just going to type highs. Severity, let me see moderate. If I knew the onset date, we're going to put that in there. I'm going to use today's date. Discovered today that they're allergic, that training is allergic. And I'm going to say save. So there we have penicillin as an apple. If I thought that this was inactive, say we discovered they really weren't, we could make it inactive. If I put the wrong allergy in, say this wasn't supposed to be penicillin, it was supposed to be something else, I could remove it. If it was supposed to have been a rash instead of hives, I could go in and modify it. To modify it, I would just click off hives and type in rash. And it tells me. If you know specifically it's a specific rash, you put that in. I'm just going to say a rash, and I'm going to update. Now we've added. Go ahead and add a food allergy. So once again, we're going to click on our plus sign. This time we're going to type in peanuts. Now notice that it comes up. Notice my matching allergen group has come up again. It also gave a related group that they might be allergic to, peanut and soy, so it will double check. Make sure that let's click on that. This time, I am going to say this is highs. And I'm going to say mild to moderate. And I'm going to say that the onset date was a long time ago. Let me say it was 11/20/1986 is when we learned. They double check. Peanuts, they make highs, mild to moderate. This is the severity. And yep, 11/20/86. I'm going to save that. Now we added not only a medication, but we added food. Great, we have some allergies in there. So now that we've done allergies, we're going to go up and we're going to add in some medications. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on add medication to this this orange box. Let me go ahead and do that. And you see a search box came up, and we're going to add Ativan. So we're going to click Ativan, and we see it came up. Now you have to know the right formulary it's put into. So you hopefully, if you're adding this, you have the script in front of you. And we see in this case, we're going to choose a tablet. Notice what happens when we pick Ativan or Lorazepam tablet, it gives us in the milligrams using, right? So you have to see which one from the prescription. So we're going to pick 1 milligram. Now this opens up, and this is going to be how do we deliver this medication? And we're going to go ahead and fill this out. So we're going to pick Doctor for Solutions. The doctor wrote the thing. And then we're going to go in here, and we're going to say take. Now notice, if you're the prescriber and you might be adding something, sometimes they need a calculator. This is really nice, and you can get different information. Most likely we're not going to be using this, but this is a great feature that is available should you be a prescriber and you need to calculate something out to make sure that you have the appropriate dosage. But we're going to just go ahead and say we're going to take one because the doctor's already calculated everything out. And the dose unit is in tablets. The routine is going to be by mouth. And now we're actually going to leave frequency as is because this is going to be under as needed. So the frequency, they're not taking it regular. This is going to be really a PRN or a stat medication. If there was any additional directions that need to be made for the patient, they would be entered here. And again, notice here those 2 diagonal lines. If you had to write more stuff than this here, you can open this up a little bit. Okay. So for the day supply, we're going to say it's 30 days, and the quantity is going to be 45 in tablets. And then we're going to go down to when was it last written. And now this is a little different than what we're seeing. We normally see month, day, year first. Then the month. And that's all we have to fill out. If there was additional things that the nurses need to put in or the doctors, they can put that in. We're going to click Add. There we go. Ativan has been added. Let's take a look at these buttons over here. So this is a delete. Why would we delete a medication? Well, quite simply, if this was supposed to have been Ativan as a solution, it was put in there, we deleted it. Otherwise, we're going to stop the medication. We'll do an example of that in a few minutes. If you're a prescriber or an authorized individual to request the represcribing of medication, be able to use this slide. And here, this is where they can go in and review the medication. So, really when we're thinking about this from a direct care role, we're thinking about just the adding of it, and maybe the deletion or the stopping. They tell us, hey, stop that. It's getting a terrible rash. So we put in a stop. So let's do a stop medication, and we're gonna stop at it. Right? And in this case, so here's the stop. We're gonna click that, and it's gonna say, hey, why are we stopping? And you have this box here with a down curve. You're gonna open this up, and we're gonna say an adverse reaction. Right? And we're gonna say that. Oops, sorry. And you can tell what happened. And I'm going to say individual became very irritated. instead of calming down, they actually got hyper. So we didn't want that because the goal was to calm them down. So we're going to say stop. Right? So let's add another medication. Make it clear. Right now I don't have any medication to do. Stop. Let's see, where did that medication go? If I go on my show inactive medications, I can see that came back. Right? And that was now available. So let's add another medication. This time let's add prednisone. And we're going to do this through a tablet also. And we're going to say twice a day. Notice it calculated out the total amount of medicine, the tablets. We're not doing any refills. Substitution is permitted, and the start date is going to be today. Right? And we're going to say add. Notice it has added it. Now let's add one more medication. So I'm going to clear. Amoxicillin. Again, I'm going to do a tablet. I'm going to say 500 milligrams. Notice what comes up. We put in penicillin before, and there it is. An allergy alert will come up. It'll tell us there's a reaction. There's a moderate rash to penicillin. Please indicate whether this medication should be prescribed despite the warning. So we would, of course, contact the nurse. The nurse would then contact the doctor, and they would decide whether this medication was still appropriate or not. If they decided it was not, we would say cancel, and notice it didn't add it. It doesn't show it as an inactive medication, and it doesn't show it as any history. Okay? So this then basically we stop the adding of the medication. Okay? So those are the scenarios into which you can add medications and allergies to Rukopia. Now we're just going to take a second here and say we want to delete things. And again, you would just go over those three buttons. Go delete. Over here we have, of course, our little trash can. Confirm. And confirm. And the reason we deleted everything out here was really this just helps me keep our training level clear. So let's say now we had all these medications and we locked them in there. I didn't have to clean them up. Let me switch over back to CX360. And I have to actually go into our training environment. There's a special training environment just for Rukopia. So give me 1 second. We're back in Rukopia. If you remember, I went into number 200. Now I want to administer some of the medication that was added. So now we're going to be doing the MAR. This is scheduling and administrating medications. Remember, we're in, the workflow is going to be, we're in CX360. We got a diagnosis. We went over to Recopia. That's where we just were. We entered the medications. Right? We put any allergies that were in. Medication has been prescribed. We got the medication out. Right? Now we're going to double check and create a MAR and then administer the MAR or the medication as well as the feedback and tracking. We're going to check back over. Back into CX360. We have our individuals chart. We're going to go down to health information accordion, medication list. Now, this time we're not going to add anything. We've already done that. We've been in Recopia. This time we're going to view. And here's the medications that we're going to deal with today. So the first thing we have is we have Augmentin. Now we're going to be giving Augmentin on a regular basis. We got to schedule that first. To schedule the medication, you go over to NBC drug code and you click on whichever medication you're going to schedule. So we're going to do Augmentin. Notice this brings us back very similar to that page when we're entering the information in Recopia. This tells us everything, the action, the dose, how long we're taking it, the amount of pills there are. Right? It gives us all that information. So we see this. Now we have to schedule this information. When I click on schedule, there's no schedule yet because we haven't gone in. So we're going to click new schedule. Again, your drug information is over here on the side to help you if you need it. Your location is going to be your location. In my case, it's going to be Canalis number 2. Our scheduling type is going to be routine, right? So let's take a moment. What is a routine and what is not a routine medication? So a routine medication is used for medications that follow a daily schedule. For example, 3 times per day for 10 days, or 1 time for 20 days. This day it may be indefinite. And a regular MAR would be used for medications that follow a regular schedule. Once every 28 days. Right? If something's every other day. Then you have non-scheduled situations. These are used for medication that are be given at a time without a specific schedule time. So this is going to be a PRN or a stat. When would we use that? Well, obviously, if it's part of someone's behavioral support plan, it might be. But also, we're going to use non-scheduled. So if I go to the doctor today with training, and he's given medication, right? He gives an antibiotic, and we want it to begin today. We don't want it to begin tomorrow, right? We're going to have to schedule that as a PRN because we're always planning our routine MARs for the next day. So we have to create a non-scheduled MAR so that we can begin that medication today. So we'll see that here in a few seconds. I'll go ahead and switch back over. So we're going to do a routine one first. Hours of sleep, that doesn't. Remember, we're going to fill out all the asterisk ones because it's going to be times a day. If I forget, I can come over here and see, oh, twice a day. It asks me, what time am I supposed to have this medication? So we're going to say 0, and I remember 2-digit hour, colon 2-digit minute, space bar, and they do 9 o'clock in the morning. The start date, we're going to say for today. and I want it to stop date in 10 days. So I'm starting it today, so I'll just simply count out 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, since we're going to start augmenting today, we're going to do it as a stat. And we're going to say, okay. And then we're going to say, close. And there we've scheduled the medication. Right? So right there it's going to be telling us what the plan of action is going to be when it comes to the medical administration. So now, let us go back to our medication list. We're going to close this. This brings us back to where we can see everything. Now we're gonna schedule Levaquin also. Let's take a look at Levaquin. So this is 1 tablet a mile for 10 days. Alright, so we gotta create a schedule. There's no schedule for Levaquin, so we're gonna click new schedule. And it's gonna open up, and we can again over here see all our drug information and how it's supposed to be administered. This is gonna be in a regular mode. Again, we're gonna pick Canalicin. Our scheduling type is going to be an irregular schedule. And our start time, or sorry, this is going to first repeat daily. The daily, notice this opens up everything for 10 days. Our start time is going to be our start date is going to be today's date. We're going to pick up our date, our end date, 10. And we're going to say now we've scheduled this medication in a regular schedule. Let's go back to our medication list and close this. Now we're back to our grid view. And the last thing is going to be Ativan. Now remember, Ativan is a PRN. Stat also says it's going to be a non-scheduled event. And so we clicked on the NDC number. We look to see what our information is. We go up to our schedule, click on schedule. We click on new schedule. Our location is Canalicin. Our scheduling type is a non-scheduled. And we're going to say this is going to be a stat medication. We say okay. And then we say close. So we've actually scheduled all of our medication. So now let's go run some MARs. So to go to a MAR, we're going to go up to Utilities. And so we're up on our blue bar. We click Utilities. This opens up. And we're going to see these widgets here. And this is a MAR utility. I'm going to click on the MAR utility. And here we go. So first we're going to run a schedule MAR. So we're going to select MAR schedule. We're going to pick our program. In this case, I'm going to pick it day 1. Pick whatever program you're at. Location is 2. We would pick the location. We enter the today's date. The time, we're going to do a 24-hour time. So we're going to start at 12 a.m. Now you can select the individual. If you don't click select individual, it will pick the whole entire house. So for administering, if your job is to handle the whole house on your scheduled MAR, perfect. You don't have to actually put an individual in. If you're looking specifically for an individual, you go ahead and type that individual in. Now it's just running the MAR for the one person. Look at it, and there's nothing there. Why? We actually just created the MAR for tomorrow. So there is nothing here right now. So, but in 24 hours, there certainly will be. Let's go back to our MAR utility and run a non-scheduled MAR. So we're just going to do close. And sorry, I got bumped out again. But we'll hop right back in. This time I'm doing same thing that I'm going to put in. You're going to put in your program location. I'm at Canalition 2. And my date and time is fine. All right. So these dates have already auto-populated. And it's non-scheduled, so we're not looking at a time. Now I'm just going to, I have to have an individual. There's today's month. Hey, the irregular schedule came up, including that augmented that we're starting today. Still, it's going to show up in 24 hours, but we had to schedule it also today. So it showed up right now. So there we go. We got our stat medications that we scheduled, right? So we wouldn't even have done a stat one unless it was needed. So now we're going to administer these medications. So we're going to do the Ativan or lorazepam, right? Is our first one. So what we're going to do is this check mark over here. We've got to make sure we check that. We go up and we administer the medication and then say administered by EPEN. We enter in here the status was given. And then we sign it with our EPEN. If there's any comments, you would make comments. Okay. See, it just turned from the status NA to green given. If it's given late, you're going to have a red. If it was on, you're going to have a, it color codes it, which is really great so that you can see what's happening with it. So up here also he needed to take that amoxicillin, right? He sick, so we're gonna very exciting with that. So here we can also look at a history, so we can see, you know, in this case these are the only two in there. So you can see the history of all those MARs and where things have been given on here. Here's today's MAR. Now, in Ativan, and I want to leave tracking. Caused him some pain, let's say. His stomach got upset. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to click Edit. And I'm going to go Post Administration Comments. And we'll say it was, we just left tracking. What's another thing that's really great with the online MAR is if you come in here and you click on any of these medications, you scroll up here, you had today's MAR so you can see what medications you gave. There's all these other tabs which are so wonderful. So our medication allergies, we had put in any allergies on here that I didn't delete. So if I didn't remove those peanuts and penicillin, it would have shown up here. It shows you your vital sign records. So this is great when you're working with individuals that like have hypertension or heart failure. Right? You can actually see how they're doing on their vital signs. As blood sugar, bowel elimination, and their history of the MAR. So these are some really wonderful tabs that really makes our online e-prescribing and MAR such a wonderful tool compared to just having it on paper. So in review, we've learned how to e-prescribe medication. We learned and understand the data flow that really there's two systems here. There's CX360 that has the person's chart where we have all the health information and all the documents added. And then there's the prescription piece, Copia. That's where we're going to be putting in our allergies, our medications, and then that information flows back over, integrates into the CX360, and allows us to fill out an online MAR and use the CX360 to administer the medication and report on it, and use the tools that the EHR has so that we provide better care to our individuals.
So if we come back and wrap things up here, what do you do if you have a problem? If you have a problem, the best way to get a hold of us at EHR support is by email. We are available from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or 10 p.m. 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We do have a help desk number, 518-402-9111, and you're welcome to call that. The fastest response time comes from when you email us. We have anywhere between 9 and 12 people on at a time working in the state of New York. And so response times are very good. And feel free to email us. If you don't know which region you're in, you can email any of us at any time, and we'll be glad to help you. So the best thing you can do is get on and start using the EHR. Ask an individual who's already been using the EHR for a while if they can sit with you, or watch you while you do it and practice getting in there. We do have practice environments that we can help you get on. Again, all you have to do is contact us at one of the Regions mailboxes and we'll send you the information, or give us a call. And we'll be more than glad to help you do whatever you need to do in order to be successful with the EHR. With that, I wish you all well and have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.